Then Thomas says a Khamzat Chimaev title reign would be a disaster. But a UFC champ just destroyed that take. Former UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad publicly called out analyst Din Thomas over his controversial remarks, suggesting that a Khamzat Chimaev title reign would be a disaster for the UFC. Thomas's argument was based on Chimaev's inactivity in recent years, with only 3 fights since April 2022 due to health complications and travel restrictions. Thomas questioned whether an inconsistent champion would benefit the UFC, especially in a stacked division like middleweight. But Muhammad didn't hold back in his response. In a YouTube video, he said Thomas is way off with his take and completely disagreed with the notion that Chimaev would harm the UFC brand if he won the belt. According to Muhammad, the opposite is true. Chimaev's dominance, personality, and undefeated record create an invincible aura that could elevate him into superstardom. Muhammad emphasized that the UFC thrives on dominant and polarizing figures, and Chimaev has the potential to be a megastar, even on the level of past greats like Khabib, Nurmagomedov, or Conor McGregor. He added that if Chimaev defeats Du Plessis, especially in dominant fashion, it would be a marketing goldmine for the UFC, not a setback. Ultimately, Muhammad sees Chimaev as a once-in-a-generation talent who, despite setbacks, still has the momentum and charisma to become one of the most valuable champions the UFC could have. If you're loving this breakdown, hit that subscribe button for nonstop UFC updates. MMA thread drops 2 to 3 videos daily, and you don't want to miss a thing. Khamzat Chimaev's upcoming title fight at UFC 319 against middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis is being viewed as a pivotal moment, both for Chimaev's career trajectory and for the UFC's business landscape. Chimaev has had a turbulent path to this opportunity. After exploding onto the scene with dominant wins in both the welterweight and middleweight divisions, his momentum was stalled by a botched weight cut at UFC 279 and health-related issues that limited his fight activity. From April 2022 to now, he's only fought 3 times, raising concerns about his ability to stay active, a major point in Din Thomas's criticism. However, since fully committing to the middleweight division, Chimaev has remained on weight and healthy, showing that he may now be entering the most consistent phase of his career. His wins over elite competition, like Robert Whittaker and former welterweight champ Kamaru Usman, have earned him a shot at gold. Many believe that if he wins in dominant fashion, it could mark the start of a new era in the division. From a promotional standpoint, Chimaev is seen as a marketable fighter with global appeal. His undefeated record, aggressive style, and intense persona make him an ideal figure to headline pay-per-views, draw international interest, and possibly even fight across multiple divisions in the future. A title win at UFC 319 could catapult him into superstardom, making him one of the UFC's most valuable assets going forward. As anticipation builds for UFC 319, middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis added intrigue to the storyline by saying that Khamzat Chimaev isn't the toughest opponent he's faced, instead naming Israel Adesanya as the most difficult test of his career. In the lead-up to their title fight, Du Plessis explained that Adesanya's unpredictable striking, diverse techniques, and long reach made him feel nervous before their UFC 305 clash, despite ultimately submitting Adesanya and taking the middleweight title. Du Plessis admitted that the early rounds of the fight were challenging due to Adesanya's fluid movement and range control. However, many UFC fans pushed back on Du Plessis's comments, calling them questionable. Critics pointed out that his closely contested fight with Sean Strickland at UFC 297 may have been a more grueling challenge. Others argued that dismissing Chimaev's threat could be a major miscalculation, especially given Chimaev's dominant wrestling, finishing ability, and relentless pressure. Both Du Plessis and Chimaev remain undefeated in the UFC, adding more weight to this title clash. Du Plessis's remark may have unintentionally fueled Chimaev's motivation, setting the stage for an even more intense battle. With both fighters at the peak of their careers and fan tensions high, UFC 319 could be one of the most explosive middleweight title fights in recent memory. Let us know in the comments Is then Thomas right, or is Chimaev the next UFC megastar? Make sure you're subscribed to MMA Thread for daily UFC heat.